Dadpreneurs constantly tell me that they need to get better at compartmentalizing work and family. They want to be present with their kids, but their mind keeps constantly drifting back to work. A couple of years ago, over the course of 6 months, I interviewed almost 60 business owner dads, and this was one of the constant themes that came up time and time again of this challenge of trying to be present at home, but just being pulled into thinking about work all the time. Guys were constantly saying something like, I just need to get better at compartmentalizing work and life. Hi, I'm Fyfe Barraclough. I help business owner dads grow their companies without being stuck in the daily operations, constant firefighting, and general chaos so they can be more present at home with their kids and their families. As a mental fitness coach, I've come to understand that it's not so much about compartmentalization, that completely separating mentally work and life is actually really difficult and a bit of a myth. And my challenge to you is, what if it's not actually about compartmentalization? It's actually more about focus. And that's what we're going to get into today. For your dad with a business, you felt this tension between work and life, especially when the business is in a challenging state and stress is at a high. And this idea of separating work and life sounds good, but it's not necessarily realistic. And the reason for this is everything in life is so interconnected, physically and mentally. Your work, your family, your thoughts are all part of your one experience of life. And trying to pull that apart and create mental barriers can be really hard to do. The reason I'm shooting this video is I was chatting with a business owner a couple of weeks ago, and same conversation came up. He was a business owner. He had a hard time turning his brain off when he was with his kids. And he constantly felt like his brain was a little hamster wheel, just focusing on the business, dealing with problems, and checking his phone because notifications were going off, jumping to the next problem to solve in the business, and not actually being present with his kids. And when he noticed that, which is what happens for all of us, we start to feel guilty because we're not actually spending time with our kids and doing the thing that is most meaningful to us. And there's also a deeper layer to some of this, which is subconsciously, and it might be hard to admit, but subconsciously, these future work problems and things that we have to deal with in the business, we create as a bigger priority than spending time with our kids. And solving work issues feels like it's going to have a greater impact than being present with your kids. And when I challenge business owners, especially dads, with this, it can sting a little bit, but usually they're quite honest and they're like, yeah, it's kind of true. And this subconscious kind of prioritization is a bit of an automatic pattern that's been ingrained probably since before you actually had kids. And we're going to get into that a little bit today as well. So if you're feeling some of these things that I'm talking about and you go through these things on a daily basis, it's not so much about compartmentalization as it is about focusing your attention on where it matters most in the moment. And to explain this a little bit more, I wanted to share a personal anecdote of the first time I had really learned a bit about compartmentalization and focus. And in high school, I did competitive ski racing. I wasn't that great, but I did it. And my coach noticed that I kept blowing out and crashing during a certain race at a certain point in the race. And on one of the chairlift rides, he started to ask me some questions like, what's going on? What are you thinking about? What are you looking at? Where is your focus? And he specifically asked what my thoughts were at the start of the race before I actually dropped in. And I said, my issue was I kept crashing on this one gate, gate 9. And I kept saying, just don't crash on gate 9, focus on gate 9. Don't crash there. Just get past that and you're fine. And guess what? I kept crashing at gate 9. And the same theme pops up in a lot of other areas of my sports life, mountain biking. When I'm mountain biking down a trail very quickly and I say, don't crash into that tree, my focus and attention goes to that tree, and guess what, where I go? Right into the tree. And it's the same for driving. Your attention directs your actions. Where you're looking directs your actions. And if you're constantly thinking and your mind is attending to work and trying not to think about work, it's still focused on work in a way. So the more you try and block something out by saying, don't focus on it, you are focused on it and you hold on to it even tighter in some ways. So you need something to take its place instead. You need to focus on the gap between the trees of where you want to go. And your brain is a lot like a border collie. You need to give it a job, and you need to give it the right job. Otherwise, it's going to go crazy. And in my experience, that has been mental fitness, which is very similar to mindfulness and meditation, but building your capacity to focus your attention on what you want to focus on in the present moment. So it's not about necessarily putting walls up in your brain to not think about something as so much it is about being extremely focused on the present moment, on what you want to attend to, such that nothing else can get in because you're so focused on that thing. So I want to get into some of the reasons why it's so hard to do that. The first is a very common one, which some of you may have addressed, but are probably still struggling with in some way, which is an addiction to distractions. In today's day and age, there are so many notifications on your phone and your computer. You are constantly being notified of things that are related to work, whether it's getting texts or emails, you're checking your phone, you have your phone out in front of you, you're swiping through things. Even when you're with your family, it's so accessible that it's very easy to get a quick dopamine hit, and then all of a sudden you're mentally just pulled straight back into the business. You're plugged in again. And a lot of clients have a hidden commitment to being always available to their clients and their team. And a lot of people have built their business and they feel like that is one of the core reasons they've been successful is they are extremely plugged in, constantly answering things really quickly for their team or their clients. And they've never really broken the habit of turning off their notifications. And even if they have their notifications turned off, they're still almost addicted to checking their phone, to making sure nothing's going wrong. And as such, they always get kind of pulled back into the fray. So that's the first one, is that addiction to distractions. And the second one we talked about a little bit is that unconscious prioritization of the business being really important and dealing with those challenges as being almost more important than just being present with your kids. And this wrapped up in this is a fear of stepping away, things might fall apart, or I'm not being 100% productive, or there's something I could do right now. Maybe I'm going to fail, or something's going to go wrong if I don't deal with this. So a lot of what drives this is a deeper, maybe more hidden fear about what happens if you're not fully plugged in, thinking about your business and keeping it afloat. And these two things lead to just mental habits over time. And it becomes a default mental state of how you work and becomes habitual. And now you're fighting a lifetime of work habits and ways of thinking and ways of focusing that you now have to change. My invitation to you is, in my opinion, the next generation is going to be defined by those that can control their attention and their focus. There's more and more demands on our time. There's more and more demands on our attention. And as a dad, you need to cultivate the capacity to command your attention on what's most important to you, both with your family, but also in your business. And that's a gift both to your employees and your business, but also a huge gift to your kids if you can model and teach them how to focus their attention. Because over the next 20 years, things are going to change very quickly, and the people that will be able to stay focused in a distracted world are going to be the ones that win. I also want to touch more on this notion of presence. And presence is not about avoiding thinking about the past or the future. It's being about fully engaged in the moment. And stress actually decreases when you're focused on the immediate moment at hand. That's why so many athletes and artists and creators love the flow state, because they are so immersed in the present moment that they're not thinking about the past and they're not thinking about the future. So not only does your output and your ability to execute and get things done improve because you're focused on the one thing at hand, your experience of it is more positive as well. So you need to train your brain like a border collie. You need to give it a really clear job to be present in the moment. There's a couple tools that I'll share about how you can do that. I've already mentioned mental fitness and mindfulness, being able to pay attention to the present moment and get unhooked so you can focus on the thing at hand. Extremely important. Another thing that as you build up your experience as a dad and in business is just exposure. The more you've done something and the more you've been exposed to bigger challenges, your capacity to handle that with less stress goes up. And it'll stop pulling on your focus quite as much. So if you think back on the first 2 years of your business, things then that were stressful, probably you don't even think about it anymore. The third is psychological distance. So being able to pull yourself out of the present moment can be helpful. Obviously, you want to be focused on the moment, but I remember one client telling me what helped him, which was imagining himself up on a cloud looking down at himself. And it allows you to visualize that mental tug of war about where your mind is currently focused. And it creates a little bit of distance to get more of an access point into what's actually happening for you in the present moment, so that you can step back in and be more present. Third, more kind of tactical level things is setting boundaries on your phone. So removing the notifications, turning off your emails, using focus mode, things like that I could spend like a whole hour probably talking about to like optimize your phone and your computer so you're not getting sucked into that as much. But another one is creating transitions. So when we work from home, there is a lot of the same. We're here for work, we're here for life, and creating a specific transition of I am now shifting into work mode or I'm now shifting into family mode can really help cue and signal yourself into what you need to be focused on and get you out of that default mode that you were in for work. So in doing so, changing your physical state can be really helpful. Getting outside, having a quick shower, some kind of physical cue that there is now a change. And then the last one is just a practice of letting go and actively being very conscious about letting go of something. So instead of just saying, I just need to let go of that, and you're still kind of chewing on it, being very at choice, saying, I am choosing to let go of this thing that I'm thinking about, and I'll pick it back up later. And for me, if I'm really hooked into something and it's really pulling a lot of my attention such that I'm not really present with my wife or my daughter, I will consciously say, I need to go I'll talk to my wife, I need to go sit down for 5 minutes, download some thoughts, write a couple of things down so I can just get it off my mind. And by having that system of writing it down, I can go back to it and I kind of trust myself that I'm not going to forget something. And it allows me to kind of detach from it. So I kind of flew through those last couple points about like how to do this. But reach out if you have questions. Like this is something that is a critical skill in today's day and age. So final thoughts here. The real skill is not actually compartmentalization. It is focus and training your brain like you would a border collie to be present and focus on the thing at hand. And when you master this, it reduces your stress, it improves your productivity, it improves the time that you have with your kids, which is very short and bittersweet. But you're also going to be showing up more powerfully in your business. It's a great way to role model what you want for your team and your family. I know this has been a whirlwind tour through mental focus and compartmentalization. If you found this helpful, please share with another dadpreneur that could use it. And let me know in the comments what's been a big challenge for you that you're facing at home, about being present. Like, what's really the thing pulling on your attention? Love to chat. Take care.